Chapter 3. You grabbed the hand which was over your mouth and attempted to pry it off. "Who are you?" you tried to say, but it came out muffled and undistinguished. The voice giggled, and whoever it was suddenly yanked you up and started to drag you to the office. You got a glimpse of who it was. It was Bonnie. "Where are you taking me?" you asked in a bit of a panic, seeing as he removed his hand to drag you away. You panicked even more as you left the office. "Just the show stage," he answered. Your eyes widened. "I don't want to go!" Whoever said that would happen? He glanced back at you once, but you didn't notice. You went silent. If they weren't going to kill you, what were they going to do? You were halfway walking and being halfway dragged into the show stage. When you got on the stage itself, you saw the eyes of the animatronics all turned towards you. "You got her, I see," said the one called Freddy. Bonnie only nodded in response and let you go. You stood, frozen, staring at them. You wanted to live, and didn't know what they were going to do here. "Come here," Chica beckoned. You walked slowly over to her. She stares at you, which gave you the chills. It seemed as if she were staring into your very soul somehow. Those lavender eyes penetrating your own black eyes and staring right through. You blinked and looked away. "She's a keeper," she said simply, and looked away. "So I'm going to live?" you thought. Why did you bring me here in the first place?" you asked, curious, yet terrified. You couldn't bring the laptop with you, so you couldn't watch the cameras or check the time. "We didn't know if you were going to be worth our time," Bonnie stated simply. "Most of the other guards weren't." You swallowed. "But you seem worthy of life, so we're going to let you keep yours." A creepy grin spread across his face, which you looked away from. "Are you going to kill me?" you asked, fearing the result. The question you've wanted to ask all night has been asked. It was silent for a moment, as if from hesitation. Before Freddy spoke, "No," he said simply. You felt relieved. At least they weren't going to kill you. A smile of relief spread across your face. "Thank God!" You were cut off quickly by the 6 a.m. bell ringing. 6 a.m. already? You watched as the animatronics went to their spot on stage. You weren't sure who did it, but one of them said, "Go!" So you did just that. You got home feeling relieved. "I can't believe I have to go back tomorrow. It was already pretty random today," you said out loud as you climbed onto the bed and fell asleep. Okay. You woke to bright and harsh sunlight. Checking the alarm clock, you saw it read 1:36 p.m. on it. "I slept in this late?" You were starving for lunch. You got up and went downstairs into the kitchen, where you promptly searched for food. There were practically nothing. "Looks like I have no choice." You arrived at Freddy Fazbear's pizza place around 2:40 p.m. You pushed open the shiny glass doors to reveal a place crowded with happy kids yelling at their tired parents. You wandered around and finally found an empty table after ordering your pizza. You waited and watched the kids roam around freely to wherever they desired. You remembered back to your good old days as a child. Suddenly, those thoughts were interrupted. "Hey, wait, aren't you Zalay?" Chica asked. You were honestly surprised. "What are you doing?" was all you could say. "Delivering pizza to you, of course," she answered, setting it down on the table. "I've got to go. See you tonight." She waved and left. That was random. You ate your pizza and hung around a bit longer, before getting up to leave. You had a hard time trying to leave, as your table was near the front, where all the kids had ran after the animatronics said they needed a break from singing. Ugh! You tried pushing through the kids, but they wouldn't move. You stood impatiently until one walked closer or backed up. Then immediately you took their spot. No, they weren't too pleased, but you needed out. You glanced up and saw Bonnie walking through the crowd to you. He grabbed your wrist and started pulling you through the kids. When you were out, he turned to face you. "Sorry about taking you from the office last night," he said a bit shyly. You smiled. It was no big deal. He smiled back. Tonight, at 2 a.m. Go to the show stage, he said. You had a confused look on your face. Why? We needed to show you something. He smiled eerily, which gave you chills, and he walked off. See you tonight. Right. This makes no fucking sense. Like, in Five Nights, aren't these faggots, the animatronics, supposed to be the bad guys? I played a bit of FNAF. I've been through this. I've played FNAF. I understand this is like a Yaoi X-Reader fanfic, but come on, man. Anyway, let's read chapter 4. I promise I'll do 2 chapters at a time. This chapter seems really short, however, so this is fine. Sorry about my breath. Bit of a flu. You walked in through the shiny glass doors, sighing. Walking to the office, you checked your newly bought watch. 11:58 p.m. it read. You entered the office and sat down before remembering something. Didn't Bonnie say to go to the show stage at 2 a.m.? You wondered what they were going to show you. You were eagerly awaiting the moment, yet fearing at the same time. Were they going to kill you? What if they just wanted to shove you in a suit and make you one of them? Ugh, you shuddered at the thought. You pulled up your cameras and looked at Pirate Cove. The 4th animatronic was still there. You hadn't met him, and you hadn't seen him during the day. A sign said, "Sorry, out of order," in front of the curtains. I wonder why, you wondered to yourself. Even though they said they weren't going to kill you, you still checked the cameras anyway. Didn't want to take the risks. You kept checking the show stage, as that's where most of them were. You looked at Pirate Cove for a minute, and were relieved to see him still behind the nearly closed curtains. You checked the show stage and gasped. They were all gone, even though they were all there just a minute ago. You quickly checked the door lights and saw nothing, like before checking your watch. It was already 2 a.m. You know you needed to go to the show stage area, but decided not to. None of them were there, and you couldn't be found anywhere on the cameras. You were honestly a bit scared. You closed the cameras and checked your door lights back and forth. Suddenly, you saw Freddy appear in the door and stood, frozen. He suddenly ran into the room, grabbed your wrist, and started to drag you away. "Where are you taking me?" you said, eyes wide. "The show stage, of course," he replied. Once you reached the show stage, you were a bit scared. None of the other animatronics were in sight, other than Freddy. "Where are the rest?" "They'll be here soon," he said, glancing behind him for a reason unknown to you. You glanced around nervously. As you turned around to face him, you couldn't do anything but be surprised, yet terrified, when you realized he was kissing you. You stood frozen, not being able to do anything. He pulled back and smirked, but not before you noticed a sad, yet angry-looking animatronic walking away. You didn't know which one you had saw. You had a terrified look in your eyes as he smirked before you, smirking, and then walked off. When you were left alone on the stage, you felt as if you were scarred for life. Why had he kissed you? Who saw and what did they think? That was your first kiss. You started crying for no reason. You were just stressed out and scared. You walked to a corner of the stage and sat crying, silently. You weren't crying because Freddy kissed you. That just terrified you. You were crying because you were worried about who you saw and what they would say to the others, if anything at all. You were confused yourself, and didn't know what you should do. Ignore it? Tell someone? Act like it never happened? You don't know. You checked the time on your watch. Even though it was hard to see, you could make out a 3, but not the minutes. You glanced around the dark stage, wondering if anyone was hiding in the shadows, because you were paranoid. When you were done crying, you silently got up and peeked around the curtains. You saw the animatronics arguing, along with the 4th one you've never met. You guessed the one who saw you told the others. You stayed silent in the shadows and listened. "What? Why would you do that?" one of them said. You couldn't tell who it was, but you could tell the question was aimed at Freddy. "Because," he stated, "she's cute. Besides, I knew you would all fall for her also." Your eyes widened. They like you like that? Why? They stayed silent after his question. They do like you like that, then. Where is she now? One asked. You quickly went back to the corner of the stage and sat down in the shadows. You heard muffled words, then footsteps on the stairs. You quickly closed your eyes and faked sleep. You had perfected this task when you were little and had to pretend to be asleep, so when your mom checked on you at night, you wouldn't get in trouble. You were always drawing back then, even at night. You distinguished 4 different people's footsteps and assumed they were all on stage right now, staring at you. What the fuck? This chapter was so bad, but the porn started, so that's all that's important. The actual yaoi begins. Only took 4 chapters. How many chapters are there again? Did we ever check this? I'll check this. Official Bonnie stuff in the beginning. Oh, there's 26. I'm not reading 26 chapters. Well, if enough people say that I should, I probably will, because I'm a slut like that. But 4 chapters in, this fucking official Bonnie, who joined 2014, when was the last time she finished this book? Like in February. I mean, sure. Yeah, February 10th. I mean, that's interesting, but sure. But until then, leave your thoughts and whatnot in the comments. And I'm Josh. You know me. I know you. Follow at your lovely... No, it's not even your lovely anymore. Follow at lovely kohai on Twitter. And I'll see you kids.